Once upon a time in the peaceful village of Omolade, there was a beautiful princess named Amina. She was the daughter of the king and everyone in the village knew her beauty. Her skin was as smooth as the finest silk, her hair long and dark like the night sky, and her eyes sparkled like stars. But Amina had one terrible problem. She had a strong, unpleasant body odor that no one could stand. As a child, she loved to play with other children, but her friends stopped coming near her. The smell was so bad that they would run away, covering their noses. Amina was left to play alone, watching the other children laugh and have fun from a distance. It broke her heart. When she grew older, her parents hoped she could find a husband. Many men came to the palace, excited to marry the princess because of her beauty and royal status. But as soon as they got closer to her, they would smell the awful odor and leave her without saying a word. One by one, they disappeared. The villagers made fun of Amina. They would laugh and whisper behind her back. Whenever she passed by, they would cover their noses and wave their hands, trying to chase the smell away. Amina felt sad, lonely, and embarrassed. She wondered if anyone would ever love her for who she truly was. One day, during the New Yam festival, the villagers gathered around a huge bonfire. They drummed and danced with joy, celebrating the harvest. Amina watched from a distance, wishing she could join them. Her heart ached with the desire to dance, to feel free and happy like everyone else. So when no one was looking, she sneaked out of the palace and joined the crowd. As the drums beat louder, Amina began to dance. She twirled and spun, letting the rhythm guide her feet. But then, something terrible happened. A strong gust of wind blew, carrying her body odor into the crowd. The villagers stopped dancing. They wrinkled their noses and began to shout, "The smell! The smell!" They ran away from her, leaving the bonfire empty. Amina's face turned red with shame. Tears welled up in her eyes as she ran to hide in the nearby farm, her heart heavy with sadness. She crouched behind some tall grasses, hoping no one would find her. Just when she thought she was alone, she heard a soft, steady drumming. It was coming from behind her. Amina turned around and saw a young man sitting on a rock, playing a drum. He was handsome with bright eyes and a warm smile. He looked at her kindly and said, "Why did you stop dancing? Don't listen to what people say. You are a special princess." Amina stared at him, surprised. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. She slowly got up and wiped her tears. The young man continued drumming and Amina began to dance again. This time, she danced freely, not caring about her odor, not caring about what others thought. The young man's drumming filled her heart with joy, and for the first time in a long time, she felt truly happy. They spent the whole night together, dancing and talking. Amina learned that his name was Ade, and he was just a poor drummer from a nearby village. But Ade didn't care about her odor. He saw the beauty inside her and fell deeply in love with her. One evening, as they sat under the stars, Ade held Amina's hands and asked her to marry him. Amina felt her heart swell with happiness. No one had ever loved her like Ade did, and she eagerly said yes. But her joy didn't last for long. Soon after, a wise herbalist came to the village. He had heard of Amina's problems and believed he could help. He gave her a special mixture of herbs and oils, and after using them, Amina's odor disappeared. The villagers were amazed. Without the odor, Amina looked more beautiful than ever. Suddenly, Amina started thinking differently. She began to wonder if she should still marry Ade. He is just a poor drummer, she thought. Now that I'm free from this smell, I can marry someone richer and better. A few weeks later, the village organized a big tournament to celebrate Amina's new beauty. Many rich and powerful men came from far and wide, hoping to win her hand in marriage. Amina dressed in her finest clothes, her heart filled with excitement. She wanted to show off her beauty to the world. But as she stood in the center of the tournament, something unexpected happened. The odor returned. It was even stronger than before. The smell filled the air, and the crowd began to panic. People covered their noses and ran away, shouting, "The smell is back! The smell!" Amina was left standing alone, humiliated and embarrassed. Her dreams of finding a richer husband shattered. She ran from the arena, tears streaming down her face, unsure of what to do next. Amina fled to the forest, her heart racing, her mind clouded with shame. She ran as far as her legs could carry her until she collapsed by a riverbank, weeping uncontrollably. The cool breeze from the water couldn't wash away the bitterness she felt. She had everything, a kingdom, beauty, and now freedom from the odor. But at that moment, it all felt worthless. For hours, Amina sat there, staring at her reflection in the water. Why did the odor come back? She thought to herself. What have I done to deserve this curse? Suddenly, she heard a familiar sound. It was the soft drumming of Ade. She looked up and saw him standing by the trees, watching her with sad eyes. He had seen everything at the tournament. "Why are you here?" Amina asked, her voice trembling with guilt. "You must hate me. I was going to leave you for someone richer and better. But look at me now. I am back to being the girl no one wants." Ade slowly walked towards her, his drum hanging from his shoulder. He knelt beside her and gently wiped the tears from her face. "I never stopped loving you, Amina," he said softly. "It's not your beauty or the smell that makes you who you are. It's your heart." Amina shook her head. "But look at me. I pushed you away. I wanted more." Ade smiled warmly. "You were searching for something that was never lost. I loved you before the odor was gone, and I love you now, even with it. Don't you see? Your worth doesn't come from how you look or smell. It comes from the love we share." His words pierced through Amina's heart. She realized how foolish she had been. Ade had always been there for her, accepting her at her worst when no one else would. And yet, when she got a glimpse of freedom, she had abandoned him. "I was wrong," she whispered. "I was so wrong." Just then, the wind blew gently, carrying the scent of the wildflowers around them. For the first time, the odor that had cost her all her life wasn't there. She blinked, confused. Ade noticed it too. A figure appeared from the shadows of the forest. It was the old herbalist who had once cured Amina. He looked at her kindly, his face wrinkled with age but his eyes sharp and wise. "The cure was never about herbs or oils, my dear," the herbalist said, his voice deep and knowing. "It was about what is inside you. The odor came from your heart's pain, your self-doubt, and your need for the approval of others. The moment you let those feelings go and embrace who you truly are, the odor will disappear for good." Amina's eyes widened in realization. All along, her odor wasn't just a physical problem. It was connected to her heart, her insecurities, and her fear of rejection. "True beauty," the herbalist continued, "isn't found in perfection, but in accepting yourself and those who love you, flaws and all." Tears streamed down Amina's face again, but this time, there were tears of understanding and relief. She turned to Ade, her heart full of gratitude. "You've always seen me, haven't you? Even when I couldn't see myself." Ade smiled and nodded, pulling her into a gentle embrace. "Always, Amina, I will always see you." The next morning, Amina returned to the village, hand in hand with Ade. This time, there was no odor, no whispers, no mocking glances. The villagers watched in awe as she walked with her head held high, no longer hiding, no longer ashamed. When she reached the center of the village, Amina turned to Ade and in front of everyone declared, "This is the man I will marry, not because he is rich or powerful, but because he loves me for who I am inside and out." The villagers were silent for a moment, stunned by her courage. Then, slowly they began to cheer. They had seen Amina's transformation not just in her beauty but in her heart. A grand wedding was held, not in the palace, but by the river where Amina and Ade had first danced together. The air was filled with the sound of drums and laughter, and for the first time in her life, Amina felt completely free. As the sun set on the village of Omolade, Amina knew that her journey had just begun. She had learned the true meaning of love, and it was something that no odor or beauty could ever take away. But deep in her heart, she wondered if the odor will ever return again.